Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Easy Chat English podcast. I'm Amelia, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Ethan. Today, we have a really interesting topic for you. It's something everyone can relate to, whether you're single, dating, or in a relationship. We're going to talk about dating. How are you feeling about this, Ethan?
Hi, Amelia. Oh, I'm super excited about this one. Dating is such a big part of life, and I think we all have some funny or maybe even embarrassing stories to share, right?
Absolutely. Plus, it's a great topic to practice English because there are so many common words and expressions we use when we talk about dating. So, whether you're listening to improve your English or just curious about dating stories, we've got you covered today. So, let's dive in. What's dating all about? Ethan, when you think about dating, what comes to mind?
I think of excitement. You know, the idea of going on a date with someone, getting dressed up and looking for love, it's fun but also a little nerve-wracking. Everyone's journey is different, and the way people approach dating can vary a lot.
Exactly. The dating scene can be very different depending on where you are in life. Maybe you're just starting out, going on your first date, or maybe you're already in a serious relationship. Either way, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to dating. Okay, let's get personal now. Let's talk about first date experiences. I remember my first date. It was a complete disaster. I was so nervous that I spilled my drink all over the table. Not exactly the best first impression, right?
Oh no. I think we've all had some awkward first dates. I had one where we just didn't hit it off at all. We went to dinner, but the conversation felt so forced, and we couldn't really get to know each other. There was no chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, it's funny how important first impressions are. Sometimes you feel an instant connection, and sometimes you just don't. But hey, even if the date doesn't go well, at least you end up with a good story.
Exactly. And for anyone listening who's new to dating or feeling nervous, just remember, it's all about getting to know the other person. Even if things don't work out, you've learned something, and that's important too.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and share some funny and maybe even embarrassing dating stories. We've all been there, right? Things don't always go as planned, but those awkward moments make the best stories later.
Oh, absolutely. I have plenty. One time I went on a date and I wanted to impress them by booking a really nice restaurant. Everything was set, or so I thought. When we arrived, it turned out I had made the reservation for the wrong day. I was so embarrassed. We ended up eating at a fast food place instead of the fancy restaurant I had planned. Talk about a change in atmosphere.
Oh no, but you know what? Sometimes those unexpected moments make the date even better. At least you can laugh about it now, right?
Exactly. At the time, I felt so awkward, but we ended up having a great time laughing about how fancy our burgers were. What about you? Any stories to share?
Oh, I've got one. I once went on a date, and halfway through dinner, I realized I had spinach stuck in my teeth the entire time. My date was trying to be polite, but I could tell something was off. When I finally saw my reflection, I just wanted to disappear. It was so embarrassing.
Oh no. But it's those little moments that make dating so fun and unpredictable. It might feel awkward at the time, but later it's just a good story to tell.
Exactly. All right, now let's talk about something that's really changed the way people date. Online dating. It's amazing how technology has made it easier to meet people. You can swipe right or swipe left on dating apps, and just like that, you can match with someone.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. I've had friends who've met their partners on apps, but I've also had friends who prefer traditional dating. You know, meeting someone at a cafe or through friends. Both have their pros and cons.
Right. With online dating, you get to know someone through chatting first, but when you meet in person, it can feel like a blind date. You might realize the chemistry you thought you had online isn't quite the same in real life.
Exactly. And speaking of real-life experiences, let's talk about something that's not as fun but still a big part of dating. Rejection. It's never easy, but it happens to everyone at some point, and it's something we all have to deal with.
Oh, definitely. I've been rejected before, and it stings, but it's just part of the process. It's important to know how to move on and not let it affect your confidence. Breakups can be hard, but they often bring a sense of closure too.
Exactly. And sometimes it's about learning from the experience. If you move on in a healthy way, you can grow as a person. It's not easy, but dating teaches you a lot about yourself.
But not all dating ends in rejection. Sometimes it leads to something much more meaningful. Let's talk about long-term relationships and commitment. Have you ever been in a long-term relationship, Ethan?
Yes, I was in one for a few years. It started out casually, but over time it became a serious relationship. We were committed to each other, and we even talked about engagement at one point, but things didn't work out in the end.
Yeah, it's a big step when you move from just dating to being in a committed relationship. Some people even see dating as a way to find their life partner or someone they can eventually marry. All right, let's get a bit reflective now. Dating can be fun and exciting, but it also teaches you a lot about yourself and what you want in a relationship. What would you say is one of the biggest lessons you've learned from your dating experiences?
Oh, definitely self-discovery. I feel like every date, even the bad ones, helped me figure out a little more about what I'm looking for in a partner. I've also learned to spot red flags early on. You know that feeling when something just doesn't sit right? I used to ignore it, but now I trust my instincts. If there's something off at the beginning, it usually gets worse, not better.
That's such a good point. I used to think, oh, maybe I'm being too picky. But over time, I've realized that compatibility is key. You can't force a connection if it's not there. And I've learned how important communication is too. Being open about what you want and how you feel is so much better than trying to guess what the other person is thinking.
Yes, communication is everything. And another lesson I've learned is to be patient. In the past, I used to rush into things, but now I realize that it's okay to take things slow. It's better to build a solid foundation than jump into a relationship just because you feel pressure.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, dating is all about learning. Not just about others, but about yourself too. Each experience makes you stronger and more sure of what you really want. You know, dating has changed so much over the years. It's wild to think about how our grandparents met versus how we meet people today. Back in the day, people used to meet at community events, church, or through family friends. It was all about those real-life connections.
Yeah, there was no texting, no swiping, just good old-fashioned face-to-face interactions. And things like courtship were a big deal back then. You'd date with the intention of getting married, and it was often very formal. Dinners, flowers, asking the parents for permission, all that.
Exactly. There was a real structure to it. People dated in their communities, and long-distance relationships were way less common because, no internet. And dating someone outside your social circle, that wasn't as common either.
And now, it's a whole different world. The internet and social media have changed everything. We can meet people from all over the world. And dating is a lot more casual these days. People are more open to casual dating and waiting longer to settle down.
Yeah, it's more flexible now, but that also means there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to relationships. Some people are looking for long-term commitment, and others just want to meet new people. The rules have definitely changed. But with all these changes come some pretty big modern dating challenges, right? It's not all smooth sailing. For one, ghosting has become a common issue. You're chatting, everything's going well, and then suddenly, nothing. No explanation, just silence.
It's so frustrating. And then there's breadcrumbing, where someone gives you just enough attention to keep you interested but never really commits. It's like, what are we even doing here?
Exactly. And social media doesn't help. You can see everything someone's doing, so if they don't text you back but they're posting stories online, it just adds to the confusion. You start to overthink everything.
Yeah, and let's not forget how busy people are nowadays. With juggling work and personal lives, it's hard to find time to actually build a relationship. It's like everyone's always on the go.
Totally. I think the hardest part is that modern dating has so many options, but it also comes with so much uncertainty. It's easier to meet people, but it's also easier to lose touch with them. You really have to navigate it carefully. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode on dating. I hope you all enjoyed listening and picked up some useful English vocabulary and expressions along the way.
Yes, whether you're single, in a relationship, or somewhere in between, dating is a journey, and we're all learning as we go.
Remember, when it comes to dating, take things slow, be yourself, and always follow your heart. And don't forget, it's important not to settle. You deserve someone who makes you feel happy and loved.
That's great advice. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next time on the Easy Chat English podcast. Take care.
Bye, everyone.